Hello, everyone. Welcome to the new episode. And I have Naman on the call with me. And Naman is a WordPress engineer, and he's going to present on the WordPress translations. So he's going to show us how to do translations in WordPress. Hi, Naman. How are you doing?
Hi Imran, I'm good. What about you?
Great. Thank you. So, Naman, tell me a little bit about yourself, and then tell us what are you going to talk about today, and basically share your knowledge with the audience.
Yeah. So, hello everyone. My name is Naman, and I'm from India, and I'm a WordPress engineer at RTCam. And I basically right now I'm working on a project where I'm doing translations. So I thought why not just make a video about it. So
Excellent.
yeah,
Glad to have you, Naman. Let's begin.
sure. So this is going to be the flow. I'm going to start with a presentation first. I will tell you what are translate functions, why are we doing this thing, and then later on we are going to move on to some demos and see how we can actually do some translations, right?
Excellent.
Okay, so let's start with the introduction first. So what is translate function? So basically there are some pre-built function into the WordPress core that
Hmm.
allows us to translate some strings, right? And those
Okay.
strings can be translated based on different context, different count numbers, and can be anything and anything, right? So you might be thinking why translation matters, right? There
Yes.
are a lot of reasons, to be honest, but I have
Hmm.
mentioned some of them. So some of them are if you have a global business and if you want to target some global audience, then
Hmm.
you definitely need to target them in their language so they can understand you better, much better,
Right.
right? And then you can also provide them, I would say, a good support in them. And at the end, translation also helps you boost your SEO also, right? Because Google
Correct.
also always promote whatever is in their native language. So
Yes.
this is the main reasons why I would say translations matter, but definitely there can be some other reasons as well. So
Absolutely agree with you. I think the WordPress, one of the good features about WordPress is the fact that you can have your website in multiple languages, which is really
exactly,
essential. And that's what has made WordPress available to different parts of the world, even though some people might not be speaking English or they're more
Mhm.
comfortable in their languages. Having the ability to translate your site into their own language, your native language, is really, really uh, beneficial.
Exactly, I would say that. So also the part that WordPress automatically supports translation and internationalization, it's a big benefit for us. So
Yes.
let's quickly see how the flow works, right? So initially we have a pod file where we
Hmm.
have all our terms that we have, basically these are all the strings that we have put in our translate functions. So initially we built a pod file for it, and then we
Hmm.
process those pod file into PO files, and then we translate it, right? So suppose
Yes.
we are going to translate this from English to French, right?
Hmm.
So what you will basically do is your pod file will contain all the terms in English language, and then you move it and create a PO file for it, which can be in any local you want. You want to target basically. It can be French, it can be Dutch, German. So you'll create a
Hmm.
PO file for it and do the translations there, right?
Okay.
Once you do the translation, later on you can move on to the creating the MO files for it. So MO files are
Okay.
basically machine objects that is understandable by WordPress, right?
Hmm.
And that's how WordPress do the job. Yeah. So these are some key translate functions. There are of course more than that also, but we are going to look into these functions so we can understand exactly how it's going to work, right? So if you can see the first one, which is basically underscore underscore. This basically is the basic version of translations. You will simply put a string over there, and then you'll
Okay.
get the output of it, right? Yeah. And then we have the one with underscore e, which basically means the echo. So it not
Hmm.
only translates the string but also echoes it to the screen, so you don't have to do echo separately inside the PHP. This will do the job. And then comes the interesting part. What if you want to translate some string based on some number provided? So suppose uh, we have a number of eggs, right? And based on the number of eggs, we want to distinguish between a singular or a plural form. So what we will do basically, we will so the function takes one extra parameter, and that parameter will basically help us to translate based on that. So it could be a singular or can be a plural, right? And then we have last two functions, which is x or nx, right? So what so let's imagine a scenario where you have a word in English which translate to two different thing or two different meaning in another language, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you need some kind of context in that, right? Or else you will have a same term or same translation for both the meanings, and that not a yeah. So in that case, we can use a function called underscore x, and in this function, it takes a parameter basically. That parameter is context. You will provide if this is going to be used in this place, this is going to be used in this place, and you will give a normal string, a context to it, and at the very end you have your text domain, right? And text domain is nothing but what you have already defined on your style.css file. So that's
Mm-hmm.
that you already have information about, and when we will move on to demo, I'll exactly show you where you can find it if you don't have the information. Yeah. And then the last function is nx, right? So this basically combines two functions, the one that we have already saw, underscore n and underscore x. So if you want to translate some functions which have two forms, a singular and plural, but you also want to give context with it, then you can use
Mm-hmm.
this particular function. We'll be going to see the implementation of few functions, so it will be much easier for you to visualize and learn more about it. Okay. So these are the basic steps of adding some translations to a existing theme, I would say. So you basically need two things. The steps are pretty simple. You add a loading function which is already there given by WordPress. You don't have to worry about it. You will simply add load theme text domain, and whenever you are ready you can start using that into your theme files. So it's that
Mm-hmm.
easy, right? Now you might be wondering, how are we going to create a pod file for it? What is pod, right? Yeah, so you don't have to worry about it since WordPress provides. So there is a tool, WordPress CLI tool, which is
Mm-hmm.
an open source tool. You can install it on your system. If you have
Mm-hmm.
MacBook, that's going to be pretty easy since you can directly do brew install.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have another operating system, it's pretty straightforward there as well. You can find the everything in the documentation. So I can show you. Let me just quickly go to the website. Yeah, so it's here. You'll see. Uh, if you are installing via Homebrew, it's pretty simple. You will simply type brew install WP-CLI. In case you have something else in your system like Windows, you can search for it. You will get a bundle, and you can either install it from the Git, right? And simply do a Git composer install for that. So let's
Right.
get back to the slides again. Okay. So once you install WP-CLI, the next command you're going to run is WP-I18 make -pod. This will automatically going to make a pod file for you, and your project is completely ready for the translations. You can do the string translation afterwards. All right, so I hope, Imran, this is do you have any questions in between or something?
No, so far so good. I'm really looking forward to see this in action. But
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
waiting for it too.
I think our audience also understands what are different translation functions. I think many people use the underscore, but good to know about the other translation functions also, which can be
Exactly,
used in context and singular and plural, etc.
exactly. So okay, so let's move forward and let's see what Poedit is, right? So we know
Mm-hmm.
pod file, but what now
Yeah.
is Poedit? So it's nothing but a simple software which allows us to import some terms and then we can do some translation out of it, right?
Hmm.
So okay, so what so there is a simple functions for it. I can show you that as well. If I go here, you'll see this particular website poeditor.com. You can go
Yes.
here, create an account and download the software. That's it. You'll get the software
Okay.
for every operating system.
Okay, is this the only website, or are there any other websites also, or is it
Okay, so
usually
this
recommended to use
uh,
website?
mhm. So usually this is the recommended website, but there are other tools as well. Even if you don't
Okay.
want to use any third-party tools, that's completely fine. You can
Mm-hmm.
directly do the translations from the your code editor as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
but the thing is, this makes some things easier. It gives
Yeah.
you some warning if you miss some punctuation.
Mhm.
It will give you an error if you miss something. So you can
Okay.
detect those things early. And since this is free, so I mean, why not just use it? You know?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, let's get back. So it is simple. You just have two steps: install the software and start generating your files. Right. So let's move forward. So now comes the part of applying the translation. So till now, you translate your string, generated the PO file, generated the MO file. Now, what's the next step? So what basically you will do is you will create so the MO files that you have got, you will put those MO files into a folder, a local folder, which you will let WordPress know about, right? And then you can simply open your website and start using those translations. That's it. Yeah. So time for a demo. And what I have
Mm-hmm.
done is I have a software called Local. It's a free software by Flywheel. I have a WordPress copy on my system. It is a
Mm-hmm.
multi-site. The purpose of creating the multi-site is only for this particular demo. You can obviously have a normal single site installation as well. But multi-site does here is it allows us to quickly check the translation between the English one and the language or the local that we are going to translate it to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll open my WP admin over here and let me show you the sites I have right now. So right now I have two sites. One is translate.local, which is going to be our main English site. Yeah. And then the other one, which is basically a /fr, or it represent French over here, right? So the
Okay.
French local will be visible in this particular subdirectory or subsite. Okay.
Yeah. So you can have as many sites as you want. For this
Perfect.
example, we're just using French.
Exactly. So if you go to quickly into your settings and general, you can set your site language. You can do this for
Okay.
as many multi-site that you have installed. And you can see I have English over here. And
Mm-hmm.
if I go to the another one, the FR one, and go to the settings, I have set the site language as Francis, right? So this is for the
Okay.
French language. Now it's time to add some translations. So what I'll do is I have installed underscore me theme. So we don't need to worry about the styles and all. We will simply focus on the translation part. So I
Yes.
named it as demo theme, and inside this demo theme, you will see I have lot of files, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the presentation, I talked about that you can find your text domain inside the theme. So let's see
Mm-hmm.
where we can quickly see it. So inside the style.css, you'll find a property called text domain, and this is your text domain, which you will be using when translating these strings, right?
Yes.
Okay. So before start translating, let's quickly see if we need to change something in functions.php, because it is mandatory to have a function called load theme text domain there, right? So if I go here, this particular theme already included that for me, so which is load theme text domain. But if you see at the very end, it has a different folder, right? So for our theme, we are going to have a folder name locale inside the theme directory. So let's just quickly change it to locale for now.
So you could use languages folder also, but
Exactly.
is it recommended to use locale?
So by default, if you see many themes, they use folder languages, and there are
Hmm.
unnecessary different translation, or maybe the default translations that you don't want
Okay.
to, mess up with. So it's always
Okay.
better to have your own folder. So since this is a
Okay.
demo, I can have a different separate folder for it, and then I'll go to my terminal. So this is my terminal, and you will see I have WP-CLI installed. So so we'll just type a command that we have already seen in the presentation. The command is
Hmm.
WP-I18, WP-I18N. So I
Internationalization.
exactly. So this I18N is internationalization, and then we will type make port, and then this is the base command. Now we need to type the sources, or basically from where this this particular CLI command is going to search for all the translations, and then we will provide the location where we want to create a pod file for it, right? So it's always better to create a new folder for it. I will create a new folder called locale. Now I can quickly go and copy the path for it, right? So
Hmm.
here's the path which is inside WP content theme, demo theme, and then locale. So we need to remove the last part, since we are
This is the
provided.
source basically from where it's
Exactly.
going to pick up those text. So source is basically the root of the theme, which is demo theme, correct?
Exactly. So
And
this
then the
is our source.
destination where it is going to convert the files. So you need to provide the destination path also.
Exactly. So destination is going to be inside the locale
Hmm.
folder. So I'll type here, and at the very end, I also need to provide the name of the file, right? So for now, I'll just type demo.port,
But you can name it whatever you want.
whatever you want. It's completely fine.
Okay.
So it says it detected some style sheet, and it also created the port file for us. So if we go to demo.port, you'll see the file, right? You'll see the name of your theme, the text domain, and everything. So it is basically looking for this particular text domain, and
Mm-hmm.
wherever you have provided this text domain, it will simply translate that. So what we'll do is, let's try to find some string on our live website. Let me go to the English one. Let's not just worry about the styles for now, since we are just using this theme for
Can
demo.
we add like a new text instead? Okay.
We can add it definitely, but let's see. Let's see. Let's add a new text in the footer maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's find it. Yeah. So we have this printf over here. We can add a new
Hmm.
tag, and let's try to name it translate function. So this will be unique, and then we need to provide the domain, the text domain
Hmm.
that we have already shown, which is demo dash theme, and we don't need to worry about that WordPress, since this is just getting the values out of it, right? Since we are using a printf function. Okay,
Okay.
so right now for translating, we are using the translate function escape underscore html underscore underscore, right? So this is
Hmm.
doing two things. It is escaping the html, as well we are using the normal underscore underscore function, that is a translate function.
So combination of both the functions
Exactly, yeah.
basically.
So basically it will escape and do the translation.
Okay.
Okay, since we have done this already, and we have checked it on our functions.php, that we have
So in
already.
functions.php, we have a function at line number 29, right?
Yeah,
It's called load theme text domain.
text domain.
So we need to
Mhm.
ensure that our theme has this function
Yes, we
and
need to make sure.
called. We need to call this function inside of a custom function. In this case, is demo theme setup, and
Mhm.
that function needs to be hooked and called on an add action, and
Exactly.
that add action is after setup theme. Correct?
Yes, so we can either use the function directly, which they are using. So if they are
Can you
using an
show?
add, yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
So
So
it's after setup theme.
mhm,
So it needs to be hooked to this hook.
exactly.
So once the theme is set up, that's when this function is going to get called, and the load text domain function will be called, and then it's going to take the configuration of whatever the path of that
Yeah,
destination folder is, which in this case is locale, correct?
exactly. Yeah. So it's going and it is doing the job. It is now will look for the your translation inside your theme file basically, right? So inside the theme folder
Okay.
wherever you have those strings, it will look for it and do the job. Okay, since we created a new string, let's go to the terminal again, and we need to make sure we have generated the latest string as well. So we will rerun the exact same command as many times as we want whenever we make the change. And it says the string translate function contains a placeholder but has no translator command, right? So this WP-CLI also, gives you some warning initially if you want to add some comments to it, so the translator have more clarity about it. So we
So
don't need to
what's the
worry about it.
translator comment?
Yeah. So think about it. So you are developing the code, you have developed the
Mm-hmm.
theme, and there are some person who is going to translate your that term into another locale, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's so they don't know where you exactly using that particular string, and do they need extra context for it. So it's always better to provide some kind of comment which they can see on the PO editor. So
Okay.
yeah, it's basically the thing that we have over here. We can simply copy it
Okay.
and paste it over here.
So basically, giving them some clue about that translation as to what it's going to be like. For example, let's say that uh, 12 results.
Hmm.
Uh, so basically, when they are translating and they know that it's going to be about, number of a number and then the text. So
Yeah,
it's just kind of a helper to them to help them understand what kind of translation is going to be or what's expected over
exactly.
there, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Because
That's
in different languages, the order of the text may differ. Like the grammar might be different. Like
hmm
I am there, or sorry, maybe I can say um I'm going there.
yeah.
In some other language can be like the order might change. Like there I'm going. Some languages
Hmm.
have different order of the text. So
Yeah,
basically, this translator is a helper to help them understand what kind of text is expected. Some kind of
exactly.
example. Correct?
Yeah. So since we have this particular string over here, percentage s, we are basically letting translators know that what this means, and how can they translate that according to the whole sentence, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's generate it again. You'll see this time we didn't get any warnings about it since we have added the translator function. Now it's
Yep.
time to move into the Poedit software, right? So inside Poedit, you can simply import your file. You can you can go to the directory, double click on it, and it will directly open it into Poedit if you have installed. Or you can also go from the files and search for it, right?
So basically, we need to open that file that's been created inside of the locale folder, which is
Exactly.
demo.pot, into this editor.
Yeah. So see,
Okay.
this is the file that we have just created. I will double click on it, and this will open all the translated terms that I have on my theme, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we can, if we want to find it, what we can do is we can just copy this from here. We can verify if we have this on our pot file first. So since
Mm-hmm.
this is accessible to the text editor, we can see if we have actually on our pot file.
Yeah.
Now, uh, so we have this function here as well. So
Mm-hmm.
from here onwards, what we need to do is we have the pot file. The next step is to create a PO file out of it. And in that PO file, we can create a translator for any translation for any language or locale basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll click on create new translations. I'll select the translation and I'll hit OK.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you can see it, now we have two columns over here, a source text, which is in English, and then we have a translation column, which is in French, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's find our term that we have created right now. And so this is the place. So this is the
Mm-hmm.
comment basically that we have added what percentage as basically means. This will
Yeah.
now help translators what they
Yes.
need to look into and how they need to translate that particular sentence. So we'll
Yeah.
provide a translator over here.
Can
So
we Google this text and see what it is called in French so it can be more realistic?
so it basically called this. I don't want to
See,
mispronounce
this is
it.
what I was talking about. Say in French,
Mhm.
function comes first and
Yeah,
then the word translation. So
exactly.
function de traduction, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
that's why giving hint to the editors using those
mhm,
translators comments is pretty useful.
exactly. And now based on this, they can place this percentage as wherever they want, since this is a dynamic value, right? And it can be changed.
Yeah.
So we'll type this here, and since I don't know where it comes, I'll just place it at the very end, right?
Okay.
I'll hit save, and the file name needs to be accurate or correct. So you can always Google for it, but
Mm-hmm.
it always start with the country code. So country code in small letters, and then country
Mm-hmm.
code in capital letter, right?
So
So
this is the convention that we must use
mhm,
in order for it
exactly,
to work correctly. Okay.
exactly. And as soon as we hit save, it will create a PO file and an MO file for us. So if I go back to
Okay.
my folder, you'll see
Mm-hmm.
two new files under
The
fr
machine
underscore
object.
fr machine object, and then
Mm-hmm.
we have a portable object as
Multiple object. Okay.
well. Yeah. So these are the two files. You cannot see MO files directly on the text editor, but it is
Mm-hmm.
clearly readable by the WordPress installation, and they can use this to translate your string on the go.
Okay.
Okay. So let's quickly verify if we have our translated message in the PO file. So you see
Mm.
this one over here. This is the message string that we have just provided from the PO editor.
Great. We just did a translation. Excellent.
Exactly. And there is also one benefit of it. So benefit of using PO editor basically. So if you
Mm-hmm.
use PO editor, you don't need to worry about converting the PO file into the MO file, right? As soon as you
Mm-hmm.
hit the save, it will do the job for you.
We'll convert both the files basically.
Yeah, it will just save both. So MO file
And
is now
and
updated.
every time we make a change, we have to rerun the command, right? Or what do we
Yeah.
need to do? Let's say I
So
make a change to a text or add a new
mhm.
text. What is it that we need to do?
Okay. So when you add a new text, basically or made any update, you need to go into
Mm-hmm.
your terminal and run the make pod file command again.
Okay.
This needs to be there, right?
Okay.
But
Okay.
once you do that, whenever you make any changes into your PO files and you save the file, it will
Mm-hmm.
automatically generate the MO file. So in that case, you need not to worry about there. So it is completely
Okay.
fine.
And can we see this on the front end, the translation?
Yeah, so this is the English site I'm on right now. So
Mm-hmm.
you can see this is the first text, and
Mm-hmm.
the second text was this translate function, which you can see over here as well. Now let's
Yeah.
go to the FR website and see how it actually looks, right? Yeah, I can zoom it. So now on the footer, you can see it says proudly powered by WordPress, but
That was the
then,
first text. Yeah.
yeah, and then it shows our translated string that we have done.
Right. So it's showing the two because the second one we have translated, we have added a translation for that, but the first one we did not translate. That's why it's showing the same way, correct?
Exactly. To
Okay.
take a better look, I can just comment it out, maybe refresh the page, and now you can see we have only one string left that we have translated.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
So we have to basically add the translation for all the texts.
exactly.
What if the same text appears multiple times? Do we have
Mhm.
to add translation for each repetition or just do it once and then it's going to
Yeah.
do
So
that for all?
so basically, you don't need to worry about it. WordPress handles that within itself. So if I can show you one translation, right, the one that we have did right now. Inside the
Mm-hmm.
pod file, it will also show you from where this particular term is coming from, right? So in
Mm-hmm.
our case, it is coming from footer.php, and this is the line number. So if you, in case you have same translations or same string in multiple places, it will simply add that location here as well.
Oh, okay, okay. So just add the location, but we don't have
Exactly.
to add the translation text in the PO editor file again. It just once, correct?
Yes. So every
Okay.
term is unique, so you don't need to worry about it, and you don't need to add it twice.
Okay. Understood.
Yeah. So this was a quick little demo about how translate functions work. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if we are not using printf over here, we could have directly echo it out using the underscore echo, right? So
Mm-hmm.
underscore e will also work, but since we are already inside printf, that will trigger a warning. But in this same fashion, we can use all the available translate functions. We can have a different context to it, and there are a lot more that we can do with translation. So this is just a beginning or the demo for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
So I guess that's all for the demo. If I move back, that's it. So thank you so much.
So, Naman, thank you so much, first of all. I also want to know if people want to learn more about it, where can they go? Is there a resource they can go to? They can learn more about
Mhm.
translation.
Okay, so I think the one of the best way is to directly look into the WordPress handbook. So or
Mm-hmm.
directly look into the functions. So they can just search for it. So WordPress translate function,
Mm-hmm.
just do a quick Google and you'll see a developer resource over here,
Okay.
which will show you the translate function. Since so in earlier days we have a full name for it, a translate name, but now we only use this underscore underscore, and WordPress already know what that means, right? So we have this
Okay.
thing. Yeah, we have related functions giving over here. They can look into this. So there are a whole bunch of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the thing. See, you can see the one that we have just used, escape HTML. So they can
Okay.
learn more about it from here.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much, Naman, for explaining that so thoroughly. I'm pretty sure the audience really enjoyed it and they have got a pretty solid understanding of how translation works in WordPress and how to make their themes translatable. So that's great. And if people want to find you, where can they find you?
So they can always find me on Twitter with
Mm-hmm.
underscore Naman underscore Khare, or they can also find
Mm-hmm.
me on LinkedIn. I'm active on both these places. So yeah, that's it.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much, Naman, for coming on the show. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. And look forward to talk to you again.
Yeah, thanks Imran. Thanks for having
Thank you
me.
very much.
Bye bye.
Bye.